Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Kaga once again, and I have a quick video for you all today. And I know I'm not continuing on the German battleships for the moment. I'm going to take a step back and we're going to pick up the Japanese heavy cruiser tactics series again. And this is per a request from one of my subscribers, who has asked specifically about how to if I could do a segment on this, specifically on the Myoukou. And as it happens, I happen to have one such a game that illustrates everything that you need to know about using the Myoukou. But as I was thinking about framing this video, this is not really just applicable solely to the Myoukou. Now, you might get lost into that trap that a lot of players get into when they look at the Myoukou, and it's got to do with those front three turrets. In a lot of players' minds, this turret configuration is not particularly useful, and I'm not going to spend too much time reminiscing about that, but I've seen a lot of people claim in chat that this is for a polite use of terms that I've seen in chat anyway. It is stupid, redundant, things like that. But in my experience, these turrets are very useful, and it leads a player to, and it's quite logical that a player might get to develop this skill, since the turrets really do allow you to do this forwards and backwards, is what I refer to as dancing. You could also alternatively view this as advanced WASD work, should you please. And the entire thing here is that you need to, in order to do this effectively, you need to have good understanding of the very, and I must say very basic hydrodynamics that are at play here, how your ship interacts with that set of the game mechanics, and more importantly, in order to just keep damaging the enemy, you have to have two things. One is great situational awareness, and the second is a fairly good understanding of how to just do quick snapshots. Sometimes you can get away with aim shots. It depends on if there are allies present that are sharing the incoming fire burden, but overall, those are the two skills that really matter, and it's for a few reasons. The first is that because you're a cruiser and you really should not be duking it out with battleships whatsoever, especially when, in this case, we're outnumbered. That's a very bad way to go about winning a battle. We need to know when to turn around. The Myoukou is actually very good in this. It's very fast, it's agile, it picks up its speed fairly quickly, and again, I'm referencing my memory of a fully upgraded Myoukou. Now, I can't remember what this ship was like stock. It has been that long since I went through it. I was able to efficiently grind my way through whatever state that was after we went into open beta / live, and I haven't looked back, and I don't even remember what it was like actually, I remember what it was like in closed beta, because all the fun of that being a tier 8, and people had their way, and somehow the Mogami, which was originally the tier 7, got switched with obviously superior Myoukou into the switching the tier 7 and 8s there. And yes, I do believe that the Myoukou is the superior ship, and it's got to do with how quickly you can turn the ship around. Even with the soft stat nerfs that this ship experienced going from tier 8 to tier 7, I am perfectly comfortable in this scenario, because I know when I can put this ship in a turn, when I can get the turrets to bear. I know the way that these shells will go. I know that with the expert loaders perk there, combined with demolition expert, I can make use of both ammo types pretty much at whim depending on whatever target's in front of me. So that's why, and that's actually one of the two reasons why you need to have very great situational awareness, is sometimes there is a very delicious cruiser who's doing something very, very silly, like going full broadsides to you. And with the expert loader, you can get the switch reload to 7.5 seconds, which is very impressive. And you can quickly punish people with that. You can also get quick snapshots like this one right over the tops of these mountains, quite with ease with these guns. And you should really be comfortable with seeing that you have that opportunity. It's very difficult to develop that sense. It takes a lot of practice. Dare I say, it takes a lot of getting that ringing sound in your ears. Also, another reason that you want to be very aware of your surroundings is that your optimal engagement distance with enemy battleships is, you know, between 10 and 15 kilometers, or 15.6 kilometers, I should be careful. You can go up to your max range. I don't recommend it, but you can. And the Myoukou can do this because it's fairly maneuverable, but it relies on you being aware of who is going to plant that next shot into you. And once you have that opportunity, you see that flash. If there's the remote possibility that you do this, or not that you do this, but that the enemy can score a fairly good hit on you, it's very simple. You start dancing, and by that I mean you throw the rudder down to full reverse, or stop, or half. Your preference depends on the situation. And you turn in or out, depending on the situation. I'd love to tell you a little bit more on like why I turn certain ways at certain times, but I think that that is one of those, you should go with what works for you. And that's because this is a very instinctual thing. When I'm sitting there looking at it, I understand that I need to do this one way or that another way. And that is just almost reflex. And if you're sitting down and consciously thinking about it, chances are that you're going to be that half second or full second too late in your turn and going to get punished for it. If not by the Citadel, but with losing, 10,000 in partial and overpen type shell hits. Which, when you consider that even fully upgraded, we're looking at, that's a quarter of your health gone right there. That can really hurt. Especially when you look at the way cruisers interact with the battle meta as it moves up in the tiers. And the Myoukou can see upwards of things like the monsters like the Iowa, the Izumo, the Friedrich der Grosse. Things that really and truly are purpose-bred cruiser killers. You can also see things like the Dmitry Donskoy with those 180mm rail guns. You can meet things like the Rune or the Ibuki. Things that just generally have better gun handling. Other things to be wary of. If you get too close to some destroyers, they can also punish you heavily for that. I'm not speaking with the torpedoes. So, generally speaking, I do not recommend going by anything other than your own instincts. And speaking of instincts, I have no idea why the destroyer behind me thought that that torpedo run was a jolly old good thing to do. If you understand what's about to happen, you're probably cringing right now, because I know I cringed. I cringed heavily. I almost rode off this guy right off the bat, because that looked pretty darn good, but it looks like he only got one torp hit, but actually having the both the Scharnhorst and the Gneisenau It's certainly something I can tell you that torpedoes hurt in those ships. More so than I'm used to in, like, the Nagato or the Colorado of the same tier. Anyway, enough talking about other ships. Managing your health in cruisers is very, very important. You never know when you're going to really need that last extra bit of health. So, again, it comes back down to is you have a couple of trump cards. One, as I've said, is you master your WASD powers and become that target at the optimum range where you are effectively weaving past their fire. And again, as I said previously, that distance for the Myoukou in most engagements and similar Japanese heavy cruisers for that matter comes down to around above 10 kilometers. As you go higher in the tiers, you need to move that up closer towards about 15. And I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna rustle some people's feathers up with this. It's got to do with how accurate a certain set of battleships are. Because, oh dear God, my Ibuki has not had fond times with those battleships, so I loved smacking anyone and everyone trying to go up that line, and unfortunately, that New York had to pay the price. Yeah. So, digressing, the other thing that you really need to make use of is the fact that you no longer have to pay for your situational awareness / sixth sense perk. It's always there. I must say, I would have assumed that I was spotted anyway, before that became free, but now you have no excuses. You have zero excuses. If you're spotted, you really do need to be checking out for where you're spotted. You don't see it? Okay. Just turn on your spidey senses. Okay, if you're spotted and you see who's there, okay, what is seeing you? Do they pose a threat to you from a particular direction? Can you turn to meet that without giving up what you need to achieve in that area? Or alternatively, giving your sides up to something much, much more lethal? Alternatively, you might find yourself going up against weaker cruisers. You could find yourself going up against stronger cruisers, or anything there up and above. Are you spotted by aircraft? That's the one that's really gonna get really nerve-wracking, because you're spotted by aircraft. That means that even if you can't see the enemy battleships, well, they can go ahead and plant one in you anyway. So, liberal use of WASD is recommended. Now, remember that destroyer from just now. It was about right now that I've got that uneasy feeling going on in my head. And I'm sitting there going, it is too quiet. It is too quiet. Let's slow down a bit, turn off to port, and just wait. Okay, what's going on? And that's something you gotta get used to. Sometimes things are just, you have to understand when your mind is telling you there's something wrong here. And if your mind is telling you that, you should react to it. Don't wait for confirmation that something is going wrong for that to happen. Just do it. Now, I know that if this is the moment in the, or part of the video I would normally talk about the damage and whatnot, but that's not the point of the video. It's just there to give you something of a background while I finish up this topic. And the reason I'm going to go back to this is that at the beginning I said, okay, maybe I want to do something specifically for the Myoukou. Yes, this is specifically for the Myoukou, but in the context of the entire, from that point onward in the Japanese heavy cruiser line, you're going to need these same skills. It's top to bottom. You can use them anyway. But the Myoukou is the first place where you can really, and I mean really, master this. And this is the part that is going to make you that royal pain in the ass in the Mogami, burning the world down. This is the person that is going to make the Ibuki shine, and oh man, do I love the Ibuki. This is the person who wants to ignite the world in fire in the Zao. So I hope you learned a bit here and you see why I love this ship. I also hope that in approaching this subject matter that you're a little bit more prepared to extract a little bit more from your Japanese heavy cruisers. And I'm going to say this right now, while some of the things I'm talking about are strictly the Japanese heavy cruiser persuasion, and some of the things I didn't really get in a chance to explain this time because I wanted to explain how to survive longer in here. And well, that's just what it is. It's going to have to be left off for another video, so think about any particular questions you have regarding this line and let me know in the comments. Thank you, and have a good day.